Hello and welcome to today's Hangout. Have you been given something once when you didn't know who it was from? It was just this anonymous gift. It was left for you. Or it was a secret and it was just well, it might even been a present that the label had come off and you just knew it was for you, but you just didn't know who it was from. It's really exciting, isn't it? It's almost more exciting because it can change you. I think sometimes when I get a gift and I don't know who it's from, it makes me want to give to others. Yeah, to do the same thing to others. That's a thought, isn't it? Should we warm up? This one, nice, simple. Get a chair, put your hands on the chair, like this, the hands on the chair, and then jump up with your feet, jump up with your feet, jump up with your feet. And see if you can do that for 48 seconds. Are you ready? Go. I want to tell you the story of a girl called Eddie. She had two sisters, Oki and Darlene. She had some older sisters and brothers who had all grown up and moved away. She grew up in the 1940s with her mum and her dad, but her dad had died during the war. And so now we come to 1946, the Easter of 1946. And these children loved their family, they loved helping other people, they loved going to church. And on this day, they went to church and they heard the pastor say that they were going to have a special collection in the church where he wanted everyone to give sacrificially. That means give beyond what you would normally give, to give a bit more. He wanted everyone to give that much to this poor family in the church. And so Eddie and her two sisters and her mum thought, what could we do? What could we do for this poor family? They thought, I know, if we bought this big bag of potatoes, we could just live on potatoes and nothing else. That would save lots of money on groceries. If we didn't listen to the radio and put on lights at night time, that would save money on electricity. If we bought some little cotton things and made up these pot holders, we could sell them and we could clean shoes and we could do all the, and that's what they did for the whole month leading up to Easter. They saved and they made things and they did things, and on the day before Easter they took all their change into the bank and they got given 3 crisp $20 notes and 1 crisp $10 note. They had raised $70, which back in 1946 was a lot of money. And they went to church on Easter Day. It was raining, but they didn't mind. They were singing. They had to walk the mile to church, but they were singing, even though the cardboard in one of the girls' shoes was coming apart because that was filling up the holes, but the water was getting in to the cardboard. And but they were happy. They were singing. They got to church. Some of the other children there had new clothes on because it was Easter, and they looked at the 3 girls and they haven't got new clothes, have they? But they didn't mind. The girls didn't mind because they were happy. been working so hard, and they were going to have a chance to give. The minister said, it's now time to make our offering for the poor people in the church. The children looked at each other, they looked around, they were one of 20 families in the church. There was about 80 people in the church, there was about 20 families, and I thought, oh, we've given $70. How much are we going to raise with this whole church? And they were really excited. And as the bag came along, Mum put in the $10 note, and each of the children put in a $20 note. As we walked home after church, we sang all the way. At lunch, Mum had a surprise for us. She had bought a dozen eggs, and we had boiled Easter eggs with our fried potatoes. Late that afternoon, the minister drove up in his car. Mum went to the door, talked with him for a moment, and then came back with an envelope in her hand. We asked what it was, but she didn't say a word. She opened the envelope, and out fell a bunch of money. There were 3 $20 bills, 1 $10 bill, and 17 $1 notes. Mum put the money back in the envelope. We didn't talk. We just sat and stared at the floor. We had gone from feeling like millionaires to feeling like poor rubbish. We kids had had such a happy life that we felt sorry for anyone who didn't have our mum and our dad for parents, and a house full of brothers and sisters and other kids visiting constantly. We thought it was fun to share silverware and see whether we got the spoon or the fork that night. We had 2 knives that we passed around to whoever needed them. I knew we didn't have lots of things that other people had, but I never thought we were poor. That Easter day, I found out we were. The minister had brought us the money for the poor family, so we must be poor. I didn't like being poor. I looked at my dress and worn out shoes and felt so ashamed. I didn't even want to go back to church. Everyone there already knew we were poor. But that week, that's what they did. They went to school, they came home, they sat, they ate. No one really talked. On Saturday, Mum said to them, what should we do with this money? But none of them knew what poor people did with money, because they decided they would take it back to church. And that following day, the Sunday, although the children didn't want to go, Mum said, no, come on, we've got to go. It was a sunny day, but none of them sang on the way to church. During the service, Mum sang a few songs, but the children couldn't. The speaker was a missionary, someone who worked in a different country. He worked in Africa, telling people about Jesus in Africa. And he said that there they can build huts, build churches from sun-dried bricks. But they need about $100 to put a roof on a church. And he wondered if the people in this church could help to provide a roof. So the minister said, yeah, let's have a special offering. If people can give sacrificially. For the first time that week, the children smiled. And they smiled at their mum. And they all nodded and smiled. And the offering came round. And Mum gave the envelope to Darlene. Darlene gave the envelope to Eddie. And Eddie gave the envelope to Oki. And Oki put the envelope into the offering. The offering was counted. And the missionary was told that they had raised just over $100. He was amazed. He said, I didn't expect this church to provide $100. You must have some very rich families in your church? Eddie thought, we gave $87 of that, just over 100. There must be some very rich families in the church. Eddie knew that her family was a rich family. It was a rich family because they all knew Jesus. Jesus talks about giving. He said this, make certain that you do not perform your religious duties when you have to give in public so that people will see what you do. If you do these things publicly, you don't get any reward from your Father in heaven. So when you give something to a needy person, do not make a big show of it. That's what other people do. They do it so that people will praise them. I assure you, they have already been paid in full. But when you help a needy person, do it in such a way that even your closest friend will not know about it. Then it will be a private matter. And your Father, who sees what you do in private, will reward you. Don't do it in public. You know, I think sometimes people give because they want to get praise back. But I don't think that's giving. That's saying, here's a deal, I'll give you this if you give me praise. Or they might do it because they want to get something in return. I'll give you this so I get this back. And that's not giving, that's doing a deal. But Jesus said, it's great to give. And in the Bible it says we should be joyful givers. Not joyful receivers, but joyful givers. And then we can be rich. Not because of what we have, but because of all that we give away. Challenge today is to think of one of those things that Jesus said. God sees everything we do in private. God sees. Could you do a picture of some kind that shows those words of Jesus, that God sees? Yeah, do a nice picture. God sees, and you can do it however you want. And we'll see you live at 5 on Sunday.